One of the other things is, any of you familiar with Wikis? Wikis are kind of free-form databases. And in SharePoint Services 3.0, you could create a wiki database. Well, in SharePoint Services or Foundation Services 2010, everything is a wiki database. So you can put wiki references throughout the entire, just by creating the reference and all that. So, for example, this is highlighted. You click on it, and I just created a woohoo reference. So you can create wikis automatically throughout your site, which means that it's a lot easier to get context-sensitive help or woohoo. Hey, woohoos are cool. Real quick, some of the key things here that we didn't really have a chance to go through too much. The improved ribbon interface, or excuse me, the improved interface, one, if people are getting used to Office 2007 or 2010, they're going to be used to this interface. It's going to work a lot tighter for them. Less postbacks, that's where we're going back to the server for more information. So it's significantly less impact on the server and also better performance for the user. Search capabilities are new and better, improved, all that good fun stuff. The BI capabilities, very, very cool. That's a huge presentation and discussion right there. KPI, we want to know what our average receivable length are. We want to know how many projects are behind. We want to know any of that sort of stuff. What you can do is make the default of a SharePoint site be those KPI indicators with where you can link to, deeper information. Okay, depending upon the application that's actually holding the information. Again, the wiki and the publishing is easier, or is you can integrate it further. When we talk about how we used to do things, and here's one of the, you're also going to hear, actually our next topic next month is going to be on Office 365, which is going to be including, right now you have the BPOS, which is a way to get SharePoint off your server and up in the cloud for a reasonable fee. Well, Office 365 is going to go one better. It's actually going to also include Office in the subscription. And one of the key things to understand with Microsoft is going head-to-head against Google. Okay, whatever they're doing to go against Google. Have I mentioned they're going against Google because they really don't like Google? In case you haven't noticed, they don't like Google. No, you're imagining things. And one of the key things here is that one of Microsoft's strategies that they're going to try to use to their advantage is most of their tools you can have either thick, meaning it's on your server here, it's on your desktop, kind of like your file structure, whereas Google, or you can have it thin, meaning it's up in the cloud. What Google has is one shot, one method, one strategy, and it's a good one. Everything's in the cloud. What Microsoft wants is they want the end user to have the choice. So you're going to see a lot of talk about the Office 365, the thin cloud-based Office applications. Those are out now, those are available, all that kind of thing. They don't have the same power as the stuff that's on your desktop, but they're not bad. Similarly, you can still buy Office and have it on your desktop. So now the 365 is going to give you the ability to either get it on your desktop, in the cloud, thick, thin, whatever, and you choose how you want to use it when. So if you're here and you're not online, you can still edit the documents because using the synchronization with Outlook, you've got access to the files that are up on SharePoint. So you're out in Amishville and you're offline, cool. You can still annoy them by using your laptop. I have a lot of Amish friends, so I can say that. At least I did, maybe not having today.
So you can write with your laptop.
And whereas a Google person, if they're offline, they're offline.
Yeah.
I miss this as basic, but we have a company website. It's on a server,
Right.
not our own server. If we were to try to want to use the SharePoint, will we be going to a server that you're controlling?
Okay, good question. So where is the SharePoint?
Right.
Okay. It's entirely up to you. So let's take solution number one. Solution number one would be you would have a server at your site where SharePoint would be installed and configured and all that good stuff and live a happy life. Cool. Solution number two would be you would be renting or somebody be hosting the server for you. It could be us because we've got a basement. Or it could be there's like Rackspace, and we're partnering up with Rackspace so we can do the same thing. And the third would be you would be using what's called software as a service. So Microsoft BPOS, for example, right now, you can get a 25 gig Exchange mailbox, a 1 gig SharePoint site, live meeting, and Office Communicator for $10 a month per user. And that's aggregate. So if you have 10 users, it's costing you $100 a month, and you get to put 10 gig up on the SharePoint site. Everybody has 25 gig of email, and you don't have to buy a server. You're not renting a server. It's as a service. Okay? So the task from your standpoint, and all of those will be relatively seamless to the end user. So the task from your standpoint is to figure out, for example, if everybody is in your facility, so all the people who will be consuming the data are right there, it makes a little more sense to have the stuff local. Because now you're not consuming all the bandwidth going back up and forth. If, however, you have an extremely diffuse, a distributed workforce, then it doesn't make sense because you've got people who the only reason they're going for email or going to your site is to get email, which never should have gone to your facility in the first place. Should have gone straight to them. And one of the nice things is that starting with Office 365, which will start being distributed, they're talking about it a lot. It'll start being distributed, I think, first quarter next year. You actually can do a combination. So you can have an Exchange server locally as well as up in the cloud, and the people who are remote can go to the cloud, and the people who are local can go local, and they don't have to know the difference. So again, I get back to that solution-rich environment. You're going to have a lot of things you can do, and absolutely there are going to be people who are going to say, this is the way to go. And yeah, they're right, but so is this guy over here saying the difference. Every one of them has limits. Every one of them has costs. The real low-cost solution is going to be one-trick pony. The real high-cost solution is probably going to be more configuration to go. As they point out, and the reason I bring up the web apps integrate very nicely with SharePoint. You can use those to actually edit your SharePoint. And one other thing that we actually didn't have a good way of setting it up with the setting we have is using SharePoint, you can actually have two people collaborating on the same document at the same time. And one of the things that we're using now a lot more is Office Communicator, which is now going to be called Office Links with Live Meeting, where if anyone in our organization, if we're online, we can immediately open up an instant messaging session and include audio and or video chat automatically. It shows whether or not we're online or available based on our Outlook calendar. When I first started taking a look at that, because we started really pushing BPOS or representing BPOS around February or March, I was like, well, that's the loser application. And then a couple people at Microsoft were like, no, seriously, you got to try it. You got to try it. And now it's great. We could literally be at a client site, and it turns out, oh, there's something we need to talk to somebody about. And we just look, oh, green light, click, here's the chat, what's going on. And if we need to, we can just push a document through that way or whatever. So anyway, so blah, blah, blah as far as, well, that's cool. And the workspace, this is what we talked about briefly as far as how to, so you've got the synchronization. It's a different way. So you can use RSS Reader, you can use Outlook, you can use Workspace 2010 to get the documents in a certain place where people can work with them. Okay. And, this is critical, built-in throttling. So it will not consume the entire bandwidth that you've got on your network. It will automatically, okay, we're going to take it in slower. Okay.